Hey guys, welcome back to Exotic Car Play Place. A quick walk around at the new 2020 Porsche 911 Carrera 4S. As you can see the redesign here, we just want to kind of do a little bit of a walk around, show you the newest and latest and greatest from Porsche here. And there are some key highlights here, and I want to point out some of the highlights here for you. But specifically, I just want to do a walk around and show you guys up close what the new 911 looks like. Let's take a look. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Mark with Exotic Car Play Place, and today so this car here has 443 horsepower and 339 pound-feet of torque. With that, it can launch this car to 0 to 60 in 3.6 seconds. I mean, yesterday that was only supercars could touch that number. Now we're dealing with a mainstream sports car, Porsche. This one has all-wheel drive because it's the 4S. You can literally drive this thing every day of the year and still launch this thing out of the hole in 3.5 seconds up to 100 kilometers an hour. Very, very impressive, and that's really why I love the Porsches, because they really do have a way of making the supercar practical. Plus, with this newer model now, you'll see some of the new touches I showed you on where to check the oil. It makes it kind of a cleaner. You don't have to get right at the engine for that. As well, some of the updates, they're coming back to the 80s style again with the windows. Now you'll notice the windows. This harkens back to the 80s again with that very pronounced window back there. This is very, very 80s style. The windows, the interior, they're really coming back to the 80s look. And the interior finish and the dash layout is very linear, of course, as well as the door panels are very, very kind of old school. Gives you that sense of, back in the 80s and 70s again, which I really, really like that part of it. And we move to the inside. Again, coming back to the old, this is the point of this newest generation 911, was they were really trying to bring the old school touches from the 70s and 80s back to the 911. I look at this and I think this is almost exactly like my 1981 Porsche 911 Turbo that I just sold a few years ago. Almost identical handle. You get the skinny little armrest. The only difference is the old ones had a flip up rest here. This was solid. And this would flip up, whereas now this is just a solid one piece and you got a little storage down here instead. But overall, very, very similar. This really reminds me of the old cars from the 70s and 80s. And you look around in here, nothing but high quality materials in a Porsche, of course, as you would expect. The center console is more consistent though, however, with the latest generation Porsches. The dash, on the other hand, really brings back kind of memories from back in the 70s and 80s again. There's a little pod here, a very minimalist gauge setup. Not a whole lot of gauges happening there, but just bare minimums. Small little thick rim steering wheel. Pretty typical for a 911. This really does bring you back to the 80s. All of that while not necessarily taking the negative attributes from the 70s and 80s cars, which were, say, like the narrow bodies as an example. We don't have to deal with narrow bodies here because this is a little fat body. And so it's able to maintain its aggressive look with some of the 70s and 80s appeal. The wide bodies, big tires, those things were typically reserved for the turbos only. Now we move this stuff into the mainstream. We've got a normally aspirated, well, it's not normally aspirated anymore technically. It's turbocharged, but it's not the turbo car. But it is more or less their mainstream 911. And it has a lot of the positive attributes that you'd find in a turbo in terms of, the bigger wheels and the brake setup. This is a great Porsche. The 911 has come a long ways, and it's always one of those high-end sports car / luxury exotic that is hard not to love. These cars are so popular because Porsche has been building one of the best, most reliable, outstanding cars in the high-end market for years. Totally revised headlight sit-up for Porsche. I mean, the overall contour still looks the same, but it's what's inside that counts. Front spoilers are drastically different now as well. What do we have up here? Little camera. As well, we make our way around the car. Great little accents on the mirrors. Some of the latest features with Porsche is going with the oversized wheels, of course. This being a 21-inch rim, absolutely huge, and looks spectacular as well. One thing about these new 911s is the tail light assembly. The exhaust touches are very, very cleanly done here. Absolutely beautiful and stunning little touches. This soft chrome look is absolutely beautiful. One thing that really stands out is that thin line LED light at the back. Cleaner handle assembly, and I'll show you on the other side. Now you'll notice the keys in the ignition. While the keys in the ignition, this handle doesn't go flush, so it prevents you sort of from locking the key in the ignition. You can't actually lock the handle. It stays in the upright position. So anyway, guys, I really hope you liked this quick walk around on the new 2020 Porsche 911 Carrera 4S. Hope you enjoyed it. Again, as always, make sure you give the channel a thumbs up, like as well. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, share with your friends as well, and don't forget to check back on the next great video. Hope to see you guys soon. See you then. Bye-bye.